Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Left Wing. I am TJ Whitehead, power is taken, not given, joined as always by John Cooper of Counterpoint Politics and returning special guest E.K. Powell from What's Good English. What's good English?
Feeling kind of frustrated and disappointed, like about 71 million people about right now.
Hey, yeah, well, I got some news for you. It's up to around 74 now. So the numbers on election night, I think, were like 71-66, but now it's closer to 74-71, I think is what it's at now. So
I'm in the 71 million disappointed people.
I'm sorry. I thought you meant the 71 that voted for Trump. Okay, I'm angry at those folks. I'm angry at those. Okay, my mistake. Yeah. It's been a rough week, boys. But the troops are finally rallied, I think. EK and I were just talking about the curse of being on social media and why anyone would do this to themselves. And I've heard a lot of people over the last week say that they're thinking of giving up, they're thinking of quitting. Yeah, okay, guys, you're down, you're dejected, but man, once you're in this, you are not going away. It's not stopping. It's gonna gnaw at you every night. So I knew they'd be back, and they'll be back eventually.
TJ, I don't think I've ever been more motivated, to be perfectly honest with you. Mm-hmm. Like, I felt that way Tuesday night, felt that way a little bit Wednesday. On Thursday, when we had our last show, I was like, okay, I'm starting to feel like let's get the motivation. TJ, I have taken so many meetings with so many different creators. We are doing shit. I am investing so much more into this. We are going to make this a thing. As I said on the show, whether it is us or someone else, I don't give a shit. But we need this space to take off more than anything.
Real quick, hold on. Is someone's TV on or something? I hear like a muffling noise back.
That my roommate's TV is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't control that. Let me see if I
can All right, I was making sure the audio wasn't going crazy and everything. But yeah, John, I get it. It's think of it this way. What did the Republicans do when they got their asses kicked? And pick your election. They got back on the horse and they got to work. And this is one thing I would say that I do respect about the Republicans. It's not a lot, but they put in the fucking work, man. They do. They have not taken their foot off the gas since the civil rights movement, and shit is paying off. You gotta admit it. Am I right, EK? Am I wrong?
Yeah, hey, that is a very true statement. The Democratic Party has never won a majority of white people since the civil rights movement was signed. So yeah, whatever they figured out, it's been working for them for quite a while.
Yeah. So, what was your smoke about last week, EK? What was on your mind, if you don't mind sharing? Like, what was your biggest frustration? Say Wednesday morning.
Yeah. So, like, I watched, and I specifically, I was burned out for a little bit of time, and then I specifically stopped trying to make videos when I was finally feeling, the ability to make videos again, because all I had was criticisms of the campaign, because that hope evaporated, and I was just like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? For example, so she chose Walz as VP, which is a pick that I think all of us liked. It's like, hey, this dude was going crazy in Minnesota. You got kids the food for free, you got the college thing going, did all this great stuff, and then she just ticked extremely to the right and ended up parading around with Liz Cheney, who voted 93%, I think it is, with Trump while he was in office. I'm like, what are you doing? Do you want to be a Democrat or do you want to be a Republican? You can't do that. You can't stand on stage with Sean Thane of the UAW and then go campaign with friggin' Liz Cheney the very next week. It doesn't work that way. You are walking contradiction. You got to pick a lane and stay in that damn lane. And then if you look at Cheney's voting record, the only reason it's 93% is because she voted against Trump's position with all that election denialism in the end. It would have been something like 96% or higher. I think the other two call-outs were she voted against him because he wanted to lift sanctions on Russia, and there was another vote about Russia for imposing sanctions where she voted against his position as well. So I'm like, if people are looking at you as a Democratic candidate and they're like, okay, well, I don't like this lady. She's the daughter of like the most hated freaking vice president in my entire life. Like, and she voted with Trump this closely all these many damn times. Like, I'm already alienated. If you're looking on the right, they don't like the woman anyway. She's a traitor. Like, they expelled her from the party. They're like, get the fuck out. Don't come back. Like, and take all your little friends with you. And they're like, oh, okay, well, maybe we'll pick up those mythical Nikki Haley never Trump people. But Nikki Haley already flipped on her own goddamn position. She was on the Republican National Convention stage telling people that they didn't have to like Trump to vote for him, which was way the hell more effective messaging than, I'm going to have Republicans in my cabinet and I'm going to build the border wall better than Trump because it was a good idea, but just poorly executed under him. I mean, like, how am I supposed to sink my teeth into that? What is there for me? Meanwhile, they, like you said several times, TJ, they did a terrible job of actually talking about their wins. The CHIPS Act was a very good thing. Like they told the dock workers that they weren't going to break that strike. They did some very like positive, like working class things, and they just like abandoned ship on that position. We are so right. We are so Republican right now. Please vote for us. By the way, we're not Trump.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
No. Yeah. So the Democrats have, leftists have a big problem in that leftists are annoying and unlikable. That's our problem. Okay. That is the problem with leftists. Democrats have the problems that they're massive fucking nerds and they think everybody is a fucking nerd. And so they'll say stuff like, hey, we passed the CHIPS Act. Maybe if they say it, not explaining what it is. No one has any clue. If Biden's up there bragging about the infrastructure bill, what's in it? If you ask 100 random Americans to explain the infrastructure bill, how many could get one step into it?
I do this like constantly all the time. I can hardly tell you what's in the
I know, right? Yeah, they never. Yeah. The marketing is brutal, even folks like us. And I want to mention a couple of things you said, EK. Harris, EK is not joking when he mentioned that Harris said that she would put a Republican in her cabinet. She thinks it's important to have Republicans in her cabinet. Well, good news, Kamala, there's about to be a lot of Republicans in the cabinet. So if that's what you wanted, mission accomplished. There's plenty of them. Yeah, and so not only did they embrace Liz Cheney, like going on tour with Liz Cheney to try to, and John and I harped on this all the time about how absurd it is to go after these supposed Republican voters out there, these never Trump Republicans. And here's the thing about Republicans. They vote for Republicans. Who would have thought? Like, who would have thought that would have happened? I mean, who could have guessed besides all of us? I'm about to go roast some guy on TikTok about this because he had the balls to come back. I said, hey, not only is campaigning with Liz Cheney a bad idea, but bragging about Dick Cheney. Like, Dick Cheney endorsed me. Right. If I ran for office and Dick Cheney endorsed me, I wouldn't say a goddamn word about it. And if anyone asked me, hey, TJ, what do you think about Dick Cheney endorsing you? My answer would be, well, listen, Dick Cheney's vote counts as much as anyone else's. I'm glad to have all the votes I can, but that's my only statement on it. That's it. I don't have to say anything other than that. But the most embarrassing, like Tim Walz did a good job for what he was like tasked for. But man, the lowest point by far was him on Jon Stewart saying, we got a broad coalition. We got Taylor Swift. We got Dick Cheney. It's like, and Jon Stewart is sitting there like, buddy, this is a horrible idea. What are you doing here? And he's, no, my boss told me to do it, so I got to do it. But yeah, it's pretty rough. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I mean, so I think that the Cheney thing in particular is something that we care about a lot, but I think, I don't know. I'm not critical of it. It is true, but I don't think it necessarily had the impact that warrants the amount we've talked about it. I think it is more indicative of a strategic error of, in general, you don't beat Republican with Republican like.
Correct.
And there is, median voter theory, and I think this has been true in the past. In a less polarized environment, the conventional wisdom is to tack toward the median voter. But we are no longer a bell curve. We are becoming a bimodal distribution of voters, where you have big pockets on the left, big pockets on the right, and the middle is sparse now. And to tack to the middle is dumb because you are attracting what is probably now the smallest part of the distribution. in that the centrist moderate they don't fucking exist anymore.
No.
We live in an internet-based world. You can't get fucking centrists on whether toast is good or not. You're gonna get people with very fucking strong views on that, no matter what question it is. That's just the society we live in now, and we know this because we live in that. We are fucking spawned from that cesspool. But the politicians are still acting like it's 2008.
Yes.
And by the politicians, I mean the Democratic politicians.
True.
Yes.
And they are pretending that, if we just tack to these, what people really want is conservatism, but not Trump. And that is the opposite. They have it completely around.
Yes.
Republicans don't want Trump's, even like a lot of Republicans do not want Trump's policy. We're already seeing a lot of people who voted for Trump being like, wait, what the fuck? Marco Rubio, Secretary of State? That doesn't make any sense. We don't like him. Of course you don't. Like, and it's going, like, that's the thing. Wayne Kerr here asks, why not just copy the Republican platform minus abortion? It's because people don't want the Republican platform. Go read the fucking Republican platform. There's nothing in it. It's ridiculous. If you do a blind test of the policies of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, Kamala Harris wins in a landslide. It's not the Republican platform minus abortion. It's the fucking populist platform minus Trump. That's the thing. You need a charismatic leader who's going to relate to the people and deliver them what they want to hear. They want this populist policy. It performs better, but the Democrats don't package it correctly. It is a failure of messaging far more than it is a failure of policy.
Yeah, I got a video on this very same thing about that. Wayne asked, why not just copy the Republican platform? In a way, they kind of did, if you think about it. And this is John Oliver. All right. So listen, I agree, John, 1,000,000% that I don't think I am not under any illusion that campaigning with Liz Cheney and bragging about Dick Cheney lost them any votes. I don't think it did. But it didn't gain them any either. And you just looked bad doing it. You just looked really bad. And I wrote down when you said that the conventional wisdom is that once you secure the nomination, you tack to the middle. And I'm so glad you said it, because I was going to say it, but you beat me to it, is that the middle politically doesn't exist. It doesn't fucking exist. There is no middle. The median American voter is someone with a bunch of disconnected views that aren't congruent in any way, and they don't understand. But the middle is populism. The middle is getting something that rallies people up, even something as simple as a slogan like MAGA, like "Make America Great Again," which is like a stolen one. Ronald Reagan used it and everything. But it's just like, it's kind of like how Obama was so popular. Obama was a blank slate that people could just project their feelings and their emotions, their hopes and aspirations on. And if tacking to the middle was the way to go, Trump would have done worse. He did just as well as he did last night. Trump does not tack to the middle. Trump appeals to people's id, to their core, just to like their raw libidinal emotions, and goes with that. And I wanted to throw in too, so you mentioned toast and how people would have like various like hard opinions on toast. Like, and then I started thinking about, some people be like, oh, I don't like toast at all. And then some people, like some monsters out there, they have to exist. Someone has to be out there that likes toast in the highest setting, because I don't know why else it's there. Like, why is there like a level 7 that just turns your toast like pitch black? I have no clue, but it's got to be there. So I was going to critique that, but I think you're right. Well, what do you think, EK? Not about the toast, but about everything else.
I like my toast on the light setting, actually.
Who doesn't, though? Like, who doesn't want their toast like light or
I've met
middle?
people who want it black, man, and I think they're crazy.
What? That's disgusting. I like my toast that tastes like chimney smoke.
It's the same people who burn their marshmallow instead of roasting it.
Well, all right, burning marshmallows is fine. Burn marshmallows, burnt French fries, burnt potato chips, burnt ends in your barbecue. I'm all in on that.
I agree with the burn ends. The burn ends are fantastic.
Yeah. Toast. Welcome to Toast Talk, folks. We're going to talk about toasting different foods. But EK, what do you think?
Yeah. So for one, like, I think the left, or I think Democrats, I think Democrats are just like truly disconnected from what it is their base wants, which is why they continue to just hand Donald Trump more and more of their base every time. And they're just completely like in a bubble as far as what they think people want to hear or what will be good for them. Like, because they're blaming like too much wokeism. They're saying Kamala was was too left, but like it couldn't be further from the truth. They're bringing up all this trans stuff. Like nobody really gives a fuck about any of that trans shit. Like people's number one thing that they kept on putting on the exit polls was like the economy. That was like the number one thing, but the Republicans were the ones that were overly concerned with wokeness. They're the ones that kept on bringing up trans issues like over and over and over again. It's a really easy message to combat. You just have to say, okay, fine. You know what? Like trans people exist. Why the fuck are you more concerned that about these trans people than you are about the fact that groceries cost too much goddamn money, that your boss isn't paying you enough money at your job, like that they can just lay you off at any fucking time they want to, that you can't fucking buy a house right now? Like, why are you more concerned about some bullshit scenario that you just made up in your head than you are about your actual material conditions out there in your life? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we just letting them shape the argument for us? Why are we not taking that and saying, hey, look, these motherfuckers are trying to mislead you with all of this bullshit that is only affecting like less than 1% of the population? Like, why are you more concerned about what bathroom somebody uses than shit that actually concerns you? That's an easy message to flip, but they don't do it. Like, they don't know fucking how to do it, I guess. Like, the other thing is like, so the Kamala grew with like people with like incomes over $100,000 a year or something like that. It's like somebody at the, like all these people like in the Democratic Party, just in government, just in general, are not a true representative democracy of who we are. Most people ain't got that type of money. It's like somebody went in there, like, or if somebody went and did a Google search and said, okay, how many people make less than like $70,000 a year? You're going to find out there's way more of those people out there than there are people making, over 70, 80, 100 grand a year. Maybe we should appeal to what those people want. Like, maybe we should figure out what those people's issues are. What is making those people tick, so we can put something out there for them that they would actually be interested in. And Trump will at least like see those people, will at least acknowledge that those people have a struggle that they're going through. The Democrats don't even fucking acknowledge that people are going through a struggle. Like, they're just telling like, hey man, we got inflation down to 2.4%. Nobody gives a fuck about a goddamn decimal percentage. I'm sorry. The economy is not.
It's not like we didn't fucking try. I tried to explain this to people. I have a lot of views on content explaining this to people. Didn't fucking make a drop. You're not gonna make people understand that. Like, it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, they say some shit and then they expect Democratic voters like to be able to explain that shit to their friends and their homies. Like, I already got a hard enough fucking time figuring out what the goddamn 2.4% thing means to me. Now I gotta fucking make you understand that shit. Come on, man. You know what it's like? It's like, so when he gets talking about the inflation on 2.4%, that's pretty much the optimal level of inflation. That's about what you want for your economy. Now, if inflation is, 10%, that's really bad news. But if it's 0%, it's also bad news. Like, a little bit of inflation is good. Like, the government, if inflation falls too low, that fucks up the economy as well. But it doesn't matter if you tell someone, well, actually, we're at the optimal rate of inflation when everything is more expensive and their life is a lot worse. Because, all right, I'm glad in the macro, that's fine, but this thing still sucked for me economically. What it reminds me of is, you ever talk to someone who's from like Texas or Mexico or the Middle East or something, and you'll say something like, oh yeah, man, it was 90 degrees outside. Like, that's nothing. Back where I come from, it's 98 every single day. All right, great. I'm glad. I'm still hot. Okay. I'm still roasting over here. And people do it with cold too. I hate when people people are allowed to be uncomfortable. They are. It is fine if they can just express that. It's okay. And the Democrats keep talking on like this esoteric level that doesn't really affect regular people. And I wanted to, Mark says, you guys are also wrong. I said weeks ago that Trump was tacking to the center and asked whether Kamala would. Remember? Burnt toast remembers. Good reference there. We said Trump didn't tack to the center. Trump was like, there's nothing central.
I am interested to know where he tacked to the center. Like, he tacked center on abortion. And that's
kind of he was just wishy-washy on it. It's like, well, it's up to the states. He just kind of stated the way things were without without ever denying that he would do a maybe he did deny he would do a national
Trump
abortion
wasn't
ban.
campaigning with Democrats, bro. Like,
Yeah.
Trump wasn't he was not actively attempting to get Democrats to vote for him. He was calling Democrats evil.
Yeah,
like,
and pedophiles. Every chance he got. Every chance he
wasn't trying to play nice. Like, I don't know what that even is referring to.
And I don't know how Kamala could have tacked to the middle more. I really don't. I mean, I'd like to know, because like I don't remember the conversation, Mark, about asking if Kamala would tack to the middle. I don't know how much more she could have possibly done it. And what's another? Mark said another one here, where both John Oliver and Jon Stewart get the identity politics wrong. Is the Democrats played that song for 4 years and then 4 months want to do it more? No. Okay, Mark has made a decent point right here. So one problem with the Democrats is that we were talking, I don't know, it was before the show, right at the beginning of the show, we mentioned how the Republicans have not taken their foot off the gas since the civil rights movement. When they saw black people get rights, when they saw women get rights, when they saw, Christianity stop being forced upon the school, they started pushing their social agenda really hard. The Democrats kind of peeled off economic stuff and started focusing on social stuff because the social stuff was important. It's not like it wasn't, but they did. This is true. Democrats do wander off into some directions that are unnecessary, or at least of less importance of things that Bernie Sanders talks about. For example, we'll get to him pretty soon. I like Latinx is the easy one, where it's something nobody asked for, no one thinks is doing any good. Where we're gonna write defund the police on crosswalks, or Black Lives Matter on crosswalks, then increase the prison salary, stuff like that. And this is why I talk about, it's not just Democratic politicians do this, but leftists do this too. Because I mentioned how we're acerbic and annoying in a lot of ways. You guys have all had conversations where he's like, oh, that's kind of dumb. And someone's like, it's kind of ableist there, buddy. Just total killjoys in every chance they possibly get. And that is obnoxious. Now, you can't say that about the Harris campaign. Now, you can say that is a systemic problem within the Democratic Party, the big D Democratic Party in general, but you certainly can't blame that on Kamala.
So, TJ, I think that one of the problems that we have with this, like I guess it's two separate pillars. There's what we are doing when we're talking, and by we, I mean the collective everyone left of Republicans, and then what Democrat politicians are doing. Because here's the thing. First of all, Latinx, that's a psyop. No, I've never heard anyone, a real person in my entire life has never told me that I should say Latinx. Not a single real breathing human being. That's only online.
You're true. It's only online.
Psyop. Yeah. But like other than that, like there is that pushback that you get within left talking in general. But I do think the Democratic Party has gotten way better at that over the last 4 years of doing less of that bullshit. I think it peaked in 2020 and it has gotten better. But I think that what we need to do on the left is jettison, like be more aggressive in approaching that. Because I feel like even in my like content and what I'm saying in general, when someone makes a comment like, oh, well, that's ableist, I either just ignore it or like don't like engage very respectfully with it, because I don't know, I have like fucking like shock trauma of getting attacked by people like that, and I just don't want to engage with it. And I feel like those people are a very small and vocal minority that we need to just fucking jettison. Like we need to like attack that with the same level of aggression that they attack us, because I don't think that that's most people. I think most people on the left even are more Bernie types of people. You know, I think that the centrist fucking establishment has weaponized that kind of rhetoric against populist leftist movement.
Yes, absolutely.
And we need to just attack that with the same fervor we attack liberalism at this point, because like it's just it does give us a bad rep. And I was saying this the other day, so often I talk to like people who are on the right or like politically disengaged, and they criticize Democrats and the Democratic Party, and they criticize these things. I'm like, yeah, bro, I agree with you. I'm sorry. I can't defend them. I then have to explain how they're better. And it's so hard to do that. But if you have actual fight, like we have infighting all the time, but if we have like an actual like figure like Bernie's a great example, but he's not there anymore. But like if we have an actual populist movement that is able to get some air, I think it gives us leverage to be like, no, that's the old us. This is the new us. We're giving you the things that you want. You know, we still do care about fucking like transsectional bullshit, but like that's not what matters to us. We care about delivering results for you. We can talk to you about the transsectional bullshit too, and we're right about that as well. But you know, this is what really matters, and it's hard to direct that conversation without the institutional organization that the right has in their media landscape, because then without that incentive structure of people like we can get our money and our funding and our ability to survive from a central source or a couple central sources, we have to rely on fucking college students on Patreon. Well, we're going to start saying the things that the college students on Patreon want instead of the things that are actually going to achieve our goals. And I think that's really what the problem is.
Real quick before EK hops on, I want to address Ben's comment here. He says it's transgender, not sexual. John said transsectional. He meant intersectional. That's why. That's why it sounded funny, Ben. Yeah, okay. Like you said, well, that's transsexual bullshit. No, John did not say that. Do not ban us, YouTube. Okay, sorry. EK, go ahead.
Okay, like on specifically the Latinx thing, because like
yes.
So for one, like the term was never supposed to ever be spoken. Like it came about because people in like message boards and chat forums, like in Brazil, were just putting X at the end because it's Latino, Latina, right? So, but it's easier to just like put Latinx there and like you're reading it and you're not supposed to actually say it though. Like it's a fundamental misunderstanding.
It's even funnier.
Yeah, like someone like probably a monolingual English speaker saw that and was like, oh, these people were doing this. This is probably what we're supposed to do. Like, no, like that word, you can't say that in Spanish or in Portuguese, or like it doesn't work like that. Like you can say, like you can put the "ne" at the end. You can say Latine, that works. You can say Latin, that works. Kind of like this is, but like it was never ever supposed to be spoken. And it's like people just had a lack of understanding, like, and they just fucking ran with it. Like, however, like, yeah, I don't believe anybody is voting for Donald Trump because like Democrats are saying Latinx instead of
no, it's just like it's like John said, it's indicative of the culture. That the culture is it's like unnecessarily persnickety and just like really nitpicky and stuff like that. And about weaponizing this kind of thing, because the unfortunate part of this is it takes something that's serious that we're talking about, you know, just not just being rude to people, which the Republicans have mastered. They love being rude to folks. And we're like, okay, well, it's better to be kind to folks and be understanding and not to be intentionally insulting if you don't have to. And instead, they weaponize it to their advantage. The example I thought about this, John, when you mentioned this, was, I don't know if you guys remember this, but it was back in 2016 when Clinton was debating against Donald Trump. And I was on CNN, I believe. And news came out that Hillary Clinton had got a few questions or topics leaked to her before a debate. And it was from Donna Brazile, who's a black woman at CNN. And I remember them asking, she did it. Like they found the records. She actually gave her the questions. And they asked Donna Brazile, hey, what's up with this? And she says, oh, this is what you guys do? You guys attack black women? That's what you do? Fuck that. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what gets people pissed off because you're just using this as an out. And another thing that's important is that the spirit in which it's intended. I can't stress this enough when I talk to leftists, that leftists love playing this gotcha game where they're just waiting for you to slip up and say the wrong word, to approach something the wrong way, to not credit the right writer, and then just jump on you for it. And when you hear that, it's like, I don't know, like the joke I always talk about, well, you know, manhole covers, we should change it to person hole covers. You know they're not serious. You know that this isn't actually a big deal they're worrying about. They're just trying to make themselves look good. And folks, there are a lot of leftists like that. I talk to them all the time, and you can tell. So do you. You can tell that folks are just literally virtue signaling, and it pisses people off. So I think we should reverse it. We should reverse it. You know how we talk about we do virtue signaling. We need to do what the right does and do vice signaling. We just need to completely flip it. Be assholes. to the right people. Like I don't mind being
okay, but what does vice signaling look like on our
side? What vice
I kind of agree, but I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what that actually means.
Okay, it means being rude and funny at the same time. That's what it means, because that's what Trump does. Trump takes his insults and he turns them into comedy. Now, granted, not everyone can do that. Not everyone can, but if you can, you should. Because you ever notice that when someone tries to make fun of you and they're trying to tear you down, the best way to handle it is to embarrass them. Because that shame is a powerful human emotion. No one likes feeling embarrassed. And if you embarrass someone and it's funny, even to them, you have a huge advantage. If you ever try being mad at someone who insulted you so well that it made you laugh, that's what's like. It's not only about, it's like you said, John, it's not necessarily about the policies, because the policies are for the most part good. The policies can get a touch cerebral at times, that instead of like Donald Trump, stuff he probably won't even do, where he's like, no tax on tips. Very easy to understand, very clear, very concise, very mindful, very demure. But you would never see Donald Trump saying, I am putting forth a resolution to do a $50,000 tax credits on first-time home. You've lost them. You've lost them already. And so just something that you can keep the same policies, but keep the messaging simple. All of this is about messaging.
So the thing I want to address, because I feel like just being rude and vice signaling is, again, just going to go Republican light, because you're not going to do it as good as them, because they truly are fucking dickheads. I don't mean all Republicans, but like the Trumpies, the big Trumpies. I can't out asshole my neighbor whose entire house is covered with Trump flags. Like, I'm not going to be able to do it. But what we can do is just drop the pretentious bullshit that most of us don't actually care about. Like, we can talk like normal people, like Bernie does. Like the way even Kamala Harris talks, or Tim Walz. Look at the difference between Tim Walz and the way he packages Kamala Harris's agenda and the way Kamala Harris talks about it. It's night and day. It's the same policies. And Tim Walz isn't vice signaling. He's not being an asshole, but he is embarrassing them. His whole weird thing. He is going on the offensive. I don't think it's about topping Donald Trump. I think it's about just talking like a normal ass person, making the jokes where it's where it makes sense. But like, it's more about just that normal person speak. And I think that's what is completely missing from the Democratic Party, more so than we have to vice signal or we have to be an asshole. I think that's taking sort of the wrong lesson. I don't know.
I mean, it's not one or the other. Yeah, I am saying be an asshole, though.
If you are truly an asshole, be your authentic self.
Yeah.
Be your authentic self. Kamala Harris can't be an asshole.
Right,
but you know what I mean? But I'm sure there are Democrats out there who very much can.
Sorry, you can't. Good.
No, I can. There are sometimes to be an asshole, but like I agree that definitely the left, just in general, has an issue with messaging. The left also has an issue, I think, with elitism. So like, there's the elitism that we can all see, which is like damn near everybody in Congress, like on both sides of the spectrum, is a millionaire. Like, they just do not represent like the average person. But like, then you have stuff like that. Hey, we should actually call it personhole cover people out there, just like the annoying. Like the annoying leftist, like that thing is real. I used to be way the fuck more annoying than I am right now. Like, hopefully, but but like, no. So like, I think like we have gotten to the point where like we just say shit like just on face value and just think that people should just completely understand it without putting it into like simple terms. For example, like nobody really has to, like, instead of like saying socialism, like we can just say like, hey, I think it would just be a lot better if, maybe the people that were working at these big companies, like, had a say in what these companies do. Like maybe we could own like some of the company here and then choose what happens, with the company. Maybe we can all get shares of the company or something like that. Just just like, we don't have to talk about, oh yeah, socialism is when the workers own the means of production. Like, nobody's got fucking time to like dissect that and figure what the fuck that shit means. Just break it down in like very simple terms, you know, like don't say tax the rich, you know, maybe say like, hey man, I think it's just kind of weird that, you know, the CEO of this company is making 300 times what we're making. You know, if that dude just like falls off of the face of the earth for like 30 days, like our job is pretty much going to be the same. Like, you know, the food is still going to be coming in, people still going to be paying. Like, okay, if the Applebee's CEO just disappears for like 30 days, like they're still going to get food deliveries on time. Like all the marketing is still going to happen. The stores are still going to get like all the different new menus and stuff for whatever their seasonal drinks are. The manager in the back is still going to be sexually harassing all of the female wait staff. Taking too many damn smoke breaks. Nothing is going to happen to like anybody that's working at any Applebee's around the entire country. But if Candy calls in on a Saturday night because she got in a car accident, she's not going to make it, everybody at that Applebee's is going to have a bad night.
True.
You know? So like, hey, maybe we are paying these people way too much money. Maybe, you know, maybe we should like, you know, take that 300 times. So maybe we could just drop that down to like, maybe it should only make like, I don't know, 30, 40, like maybe 50 times max, like what we're making. Maybe we should like, you know, distribute that amongst ourselves, you know, because we're the ones that are actually out here on the front line. Like just break it shit down in just simple ass terms that people can understand, and like stop trying to say like, oh, it's fascism. It's like, okay, well, you know, I just think that this person like is trying to take advantage of a situation in which we're all struggling because of the economic environments. But like, I think these companies and these really rich individuals aren't actually paying us like the amount of money that we need to get paid. I think we have like some actual issues we're all going through, and they're trying to blame it on somebody else who isn't actually doing anything to us. You know, we don't have to say like all of these big ass terms that you kind of need to read a fucking book or take a college course in sometimes, like to get across. We can just explain that shit and educate them along the way. And if somebody says, hey, that sounds like fascism, like, yeah, you know, it does kind of sound like fascism. Like,
yeah, what a coincidence.
Well, yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, I want to address that because you make a very good point there, EK, in that the things that people care about when they talk about, you know, when we talk about labor, you know, we know what we're talking about, right? But the things that the actual people care about are very different from like what the academic sense is. And I think that what Democrats did here is, because I keep hearing this refrain of, oh, Joe Biden was the most pro-worker administration that we've ever had. And I'm like, I know why they're saying that.
Yeah.
He did on a meta level have a lot of accomplishments that were pro-worker, but the workers didn't feel it.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how many times you pulled out the chart, it doesn't matter, because that's not the way people feel right now. And the way people feel matters a hell of a lot more, at least when it comes to electoral politics, than the way their lives actually are. And when you have, you are suffering, you need someone to blame. And Trump gave them someone to blame. His policy isn't going to solve their problems, but they don't care because they feel like they need someone to blame, and Trump gave that to them. Meanwhile, what Democrats gave people to blame was Donald Trump, who wasn't in power and wasn't the one causing them the pain. And that was the failure there, is instead of going, hey, the problem, blame corporations, blame corporate greed. Yeah, blame corporate greed worked, but the Democrats never said it because they're afraid of it. But like, that would have worked. People would have gotten behind that message, but the Democrats didn't do that. They said, blame Donald Trump, who clearly isn't in power right now. And people were like, that doesn't make any sense. I don't trust you. You're not being genuine with me. I'm not going to look at your graph. Eggs are expensive. Fuck you. I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. Or fuck you. I'm not going to vote. I don't know what Donald Trump's going to do, but I don't know. Your plan clearly ain't working. And that's what happened here. And no matter how many fucking times people say, "Oh, Donald Trump was a progressive agenda," and not Donald Trump, Joe Biden.
Joe Biden.
It doesn't fucking matter. It really doesn't. And we were saying this the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the actual lesson learned is going to be.
Well, I think the lesson is, let's just reiterate what you guys said, that human beings are almost necessarily myopic when it comes to living your life. Like it's honestly amazing that we can do the things that we can do, that your brain is designed to pick fruit and vegetables and hide from lions in the African savannah. That's what your brain has evolved to do to keep you alive. And the fact that we can do stuff far beyond that is a credit to us, but we're still pretty limited by the indelible stamp of our lowly origin. And if you think about it, what you guys were saying, that EK, I love the example you talked about with the CEO and the waitress and everything, because look, you can tell people that, look, it's technically true that Biden's done a good job with the economy, but if it's not practically true for them, they're not going to care. It's not going to care one way or the other. And the example with the Applebee's thing is that, yeah, the CEO is not going to ever bring an appetizer, a fucking irresistible to your table. That's not gonna go on, you know? So they're going to blame the person in closest proximity. That's going to be the waitress. And like, yeah, that's going to be true every time. I want to go and pull up the big man himself here and see what Bernie had to say about this election and where are the Democrats and where they went wrong.
60% of our people live in paycheck to paycheck. How do we not talk and fight for raising the minimum wage to a living wage? Dana, on Tuesday in the election, in the state of Missouri, a conservative state, they became one of the many states that voted, I think, 58% to raise the minimum wage. Now, how is it that in Congress and the Senate, we haven't even brought a damn minimum wage bill onto the floor? We are the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right. The Affordable Care Act is a stopgap measure. It is not addressing the real health care crisis in America. Why aren't we saying, yes, health care is a human right? We're going to take on the insurance companies and the drug companies. We're going to pass the PRO Act to make it easier for workers to join unions. We're going to expand Social Security by lifting it up. We're going to let the billionaires start paying their fair share of taxes. You know, Dana, all of these issues that I'm talking about, these are not Bernie Sanders ideas. These are, without exception, popular ideas that Democrats, Republicans, and independents support. Now, the people who don't support it is the billionaire class, and they got a lot of power. But we've got to be prepared to take them on.
Okay, one thing I want to say, EK, I want to get your opinion on this real quick. One thing that I just realized I didn't mention is I said that it's important to be an asshole. You're right, John. I think I misspoke there. That's not true. It's important to sound angry. That is really important. So, like, if I come up and I start telling you about these tax policies and these credits and these institutions, you're going to feel like you're in class. And you know, maybe that does work on nerds who went to college, but on your average regular person, they are furious about what's going on. And if you just drone at them like some sort of fucking machine, that's not going to motivate them. So I think that's what's in it. It's so many things just converge in one. But talking like a normal person, normal people get angry at this shit. Normal people are really upset. And if you're some stiff wooden politician, it's not going to work on them. What do you think, EK?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's like, you know, and like you look at Kamala's appearances on like on Call Her Daddy, for example, like she just seemed like a politician on somebody's podcast, giving very like politician-y like answers. Like she didn't sound like a human at all. Like, you know, whereas if you heard like Theo Vaughn's podcast when he had Trump on there, dude sounded like a regular ass person, you know? Like I think like listening to Bernie right now, Bernie is clearly fucking upset, just like me. He's like, Bernie is so full of smoke right now. And he's right, you know, like with you, like you have to show that you have some skin in the game. Like Kamala just didn't seem like she had skin in the game at any time. It looked like she was just going through the motions, doing what a politician was supposed to do. Another thing, like speaking to what Bernie was just saying, do you know what the minimum wage is in Pennsylvania?
No,
it's like $7.25.
It is $7.25.
It's $7.25.
Yeah. Do you know what the minimum wage is in Wisconsin?
Is it also
It
$7.25?
is $7.25. You know what the minimum wage is in Georgia?
Can I take a stab in the dark here? It's
It is $7.25. Yeah. Like, not saying that running on, hey, I'm gonna get y'all a $15 minimum wage would have like tipped enough people over into her scale, but she probably would have done better in those 3 swing states. Like, you have to listen to what the people who want to vote for you actually want and fucking put it out there and like be real about it. Like, so otherwise, like, if you're just gonna turn that shit off. It's like, oh, you're just fucking playing a politician game.
I want to do a little brainstorming session with you here, guys. But first, before I do that, I just want to say I want to pick a little bit of a bone with Bernie. And I'm sure it doesn't actually matter, but it pisses me off every time.
Here we go.
60% of people are not living fucking paycheck to paycheck. Bernie says it all the time. I know Bernie knows better than this. They are not. That's an absurd fucking statistic. Like more than 60% of people live in a home that their family owns. Like, people aren't, when people, 60% of people say they are living paycheck to paycheck. When you actually look at it, that is not the fucking case. Like, people, what is it? The average, person has like $2,000, saved up in their savings, but they have assets like that. If they hadn't purchased and like lived this lifestyle, they can still sell. If they lose their job, they aren't going to suddenly be evicted that month. That's not how most people live, even if they say they're living paycheck to paycheck. It just isn't actually a true thing, and it pisses me off.
But do they feel like they're living?
They feel like they do, and that's true. And you need to acknowledge that they feel that way, even though they're not. And that kind of just exposes the entire problem. Anyway.
But that's one of the things though, like that, like about the economy that like economists just don't factor in is like the economy. For like, to some extent is vibes. It's not numbers on a spreadsheet. Like, the economy is, like a 35-year-old like person feeling like they're never gonna own a house. The economy is, like the same person like feeling like, they're gonna get evicted, like if like the round of layoffs don't go their way this time. The economy is somebody like filling up their cart, filling up their groceries cart, or like at the cashier station, looking at the number go up and up and up and hit $100 and like, damn, I'm not going to have enough money to put gas in my car. Like, it's not a bunch of numbers on a spreadsheet. The economy is people feeling like they can't buy whatever purchase or go on vacation or whatever. Like, that is the actual economy. You can give me numbers all day. Numbers aren't going to make me feel better. Like, improving my actual conditions like is gonna make me feel better.
It's that kind of speaks to what I want to do is how do we package that? Because like kind of what TJ said, we need a slogan. like as dumb as that sounds, it's very true. MAGA, very fucking effective as a slogan. There's always, every time there's a movement, it coalesces around something, and the slogan is particularly powerful. What can Democrats actually coalesce around? Because we do have an opportunity here. The people who voted for Trump because they want populist policy are going to be fucking disappointed over the next 4 years. And we need to position ourselves to be like, no, we actually are going to do it this time. I think build, baby, build. I think housing is going to be a thing because he's not going to do diddly shit for housing. Housing prices are not going to go down, and people are going to continue to be fucking pissed about that. I think building housing needs to be number one on the list of Democratic priorities on a federal level and more specifically on a city and state level. I think build, baby, build is the movement that is probably the easiest one, the most effective one, the thing that doesn't need explaining because it's one of those situations where the common sense, build more housing and prices will fall, is what actually fucking works. But is there any other like policies or slogans or things that you think people will coalesce around if we put it out there?
So I haven't tried to think of some, but I thought of one just now, John. It's a good question because it's about marketing. It's all about marketing. It's about charisma and everything. And that if I wanted to package socialism and we want to stay away from the S word or stay away from any buzzwords, I think I would package it as be your own boss. That's kind of how I would put it out there, that We want to strengthen unions, and we want to give you a voice at the table at your organization. And we want to make sure that, you know, your boss can't screw you over because you're all, in a way, the boss. And I think be your own boss resonates with everybody, whether you're right wing or left wing. That's just one that came to mind. But I like this idea of trying to package them together. And EK, you mentioned something that you said that Trump sounds like a normal guy. You will not believe the flames I have gotten online whenever I say this, because whenever I say anything about Trump's skill, that, you know, it's okay. Listen, you can acknowledge that an evil person is skilled. Okay, it's fine, everyone. But I'm flooded with Trump doesn't sound normal to me. What do you mean he's normal? You think it's normal to want women to die? It's like, guys, I'm so glad you said that, because it's true. He does talk more like a normal person than most politicians, and it's very effective. And John, you talked about EK, you talked about the minimum wage. And look, like, why not run on raising the minimum wage? Why the fuck not? Like, you don't even have to mean it. Honestly, you don't. You can just, if the goal is to get elected, you worry about that later. But I mean, because then it paints the Republic. It's like Lyndon Johnson said, make the son of a bitch deny it. Make the Republicans get out there and say, no, we think raising the minimum wage is bad for you. Now, of course, the conservatives, the Republicans, and the idiots will buy into it. Your average American is going to think that's crazy. They're going to think that's insane. Well, what do you mean raising the minimum wage is bad? Why are you saying that? You sound like the elites. That's something a billionaire would say. But it's right there. That's an easy one. And the Democrats just don't jump on it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the other thing I'll say is another confirmation was of this was if you've seen AOC's stories when she was asking people who split their ballot, because she was like, hey, I saw a lot of people in my district voted for me, but like I outperformed Kamala. What happened? So she asked people like, hey, if you split your ballot, could you tell me like what were the reasons that you had for voting for me, like, and still voting for Trump for president? Or, you know, if you're living someplace else, why did you, you know, vote for Trump as president, but vote Democrat all the way down? And like a lot of people were saying stuff like, hey, you know, like he's talking about like our struggle in the economy. Like he's anti-establishment. He's out there for the workers, just like you are. Going back to that Theo Von podcast, like Theo Von had Bernie Sanders on there, and when he was talking to Bernie, he was saying, man, I wished like when you were running, I wished you and Trump were on the same ticket. Like these people are registering like the
it sounds ridiculous, but it is so
it sounds ridiculous, but it's the same. Like it is true. Like they are both hitting the exact same people. Like it's like the thing is like Trump will, he sees that he will speak to you, like he will speak to you and your struggle. He will say, hey, look, I know you're there. I know you're struggling. I can see you're struggling. And Bernie does the same thing. AOC does the same thing. A lot of those progressives do the same thing. And the Democrats, they don't acknowledge that there's even a fucking struggle for people. So it's like, you know, if you're getting bullied at school every day and, you know, you got two people that want to be your friend, one of them acknowledges that you actually are getting bullied and the other one doesn't say shit about it, you're probably going to be friends with the one that's at least acknowledging that you're getting bullied, even if they're friends with the motherfucker that's bullying you. That's just the way it is.
Oh, God. Well, first off, EK, you say that Trump seems like someone who will identify your struggle. I don't know. Trump seems more like a my struggle type of guy. I don't know. I don't know if you guys caught that Mein Kampf joke, but anyway, for the listeners. But I also wanted to say, I don't know. I didn't see AOC. I saw that she had posted this, like asking the questions about why'd you vote for me and not for Harris. I don't know. I just saw that as kind of like an opportunity to flex. I got to tell you, like, let's say John and I both ran for office and the same district in different positions, and a bunch of people voted for John and didn't vote for me. If John made a post like, hey, why'd you guys vote for me and not TJ? It just seemed like a way for them to like dunk on me. Oh yeah, John, you're so much cooler than TJ.
Well, it kind of is. It kind of is,
right?
TJ.
So, I would feel like shit if I was like, oh yeah. I mean, if they voted for someone who ideologically is the least similar to me, it's like, no, fuck that guy. I'm going with the other one. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Ben asked, do you think a Bernie type Democrat, like I'm assuming he meant AOC and not alcohol, run and ever win? Alcohol would fucking dominate. If you just put a fucking beer up there, he'd be the next president of the United States. But do you think I've said this before, AOC is the future of the Democrat Party. And I think that I don't think it's anyone but AOC, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't see another person that has her clout, but like it's her.
John doesn't like her.
No, that's not it. No, it's that. Yeah, it'll be someone like AOC or like AOC, but you know good and well they're gonna give us Gavin Newsom. You know that's what's gonna happen. You know.
TJ, that's true, but
it's so sad.
Okay, now more than ever. Let me lay out the case. Let me lay out the positive. My fucking naive John brain here that believes in humanity. So in 2016, Bernie did the thing that we're talking about here. He struck that popular chord, and he did it in 2022. And in 2016 and 2022, the establishment Democrats had the power to fucking drown him. And the thing is, the establishment Democrats are way weaker right now than they ever were in 2016, than they ever were in 2020. Because in 2016, they just came off of 8 successful years of the Obama presidency. They had the power, the clout, and the hold to crush them. In 2020, they still had control. It was all the same fucking people.
Mm-hmm.
We won't have the same people. Biden's going to be gone. Pelosi's going to be gone. Schumer's going to be gone. These people are going to be out of fucking power or out of this world because they just died. They will not be lasting all that much longer. There will be a changing of the guard.
I hope
that changing of the guard
are gone.
you're going to have this chaos. And who's going to win that chaos, if done correctly, can be a populist progressive. I'm not saying it's going to be, but I think now more than ever, we have Trump in office, which is going to ignite people to go out and vote in the midterms and in 2024. And you're going to have opportunity with less entrenched power being able to stop it. They still probably will win. But I think that now is the opportunity more than it ever has been and more than it ever will be, because unlike in 2016 and 2020, I'm seeing not normie, but fucking mainstream centrist moderate Democrats acknowledging that the party's fucked and that it needs to move in the right direction. In 2016, that didn't happen. They just said, oh, well, this was a fluke. But that's not what's happening this time. The reaction is very different.
You think so, EK?
I don't know. I mean, Democrats love shooting themselves in the foot and then getting mad at you for telling them to just aim in a slightly different direction. Just please don't aim it direct. Shut up, otherwise you're gonna get this. That's the. I don't know. I think the money doesn't like the populist candidates who actually run on something like Medicare for all or something very popular. I think they're gonna look at who they're running against and make a decision then. We'll see what presidential nominee J.D. Vance is looking like in 4 years, because like I said, both parties are pretty much captured by capital, right? Like we had freaking I don't know if you saw the news story about Kamala's brother-in-law basically approving all of the economic speeches, and that's what. Yeah.
Who is her brother-in-law? Who is he?
He's the Uber lawyer guy.
Oh, great! Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was a New York Times story, whatever. But so that's kind of why she moved away from, hey, we're gonna go after these price gouging people, and that just kind of died. Even though it was extremely popular, he was the one that was responsible for that, and just kind of moving the economy talk kind of rightward. And I can see that clearly happening again. The Democratic strategists out there live in a bubble. They talk amongst themselves. They're fucking blaming wokeness right now and saying, "Oh no, it's not because we need to do anything leftist. It's actually because we were talking about trans people too much, and people were saying defund the police, even though nobody fucking said defund the police." like the entire fucking time through the campaign. Like if you look at it, the last time people were saying Black Lives Matter and defund the police, the Democrats won the fucking presidency, the House, and the Senate. So, like, but yeah.
Here's the thing, EK. I might be Charlie kicking the fucking football here, but like, Trump laid the blueprint. Like Trump just won without the money. Like he had much less money than Kamala Harris did. He didn't need all of that corporate backing, corporate funding in order to win this election. I don't think he proved we don't need money for a ground game. We don't need money for paid advertising. We don't need to be winning the mainstream media. We don't need any of that. You can win an election in 2028 without any of that. And will the fucking establishment still coalesce against you? Yes, they fucking will. But does it matter as much as it did 8 years ago? I don't think the answer is yes.
Yeah. That's true.
I would say yeah, but with a very strong caveat that you can do it if you're Donald Trump, or at least someone who can.
You need a fucking.
You need a special person to do that. Like Obama.
AOC has that. TJ. AOC has.
I don't. She's got it, but she's not as good as. I don't know. It's a big risk either way.
You
I just
put
think
AOC against Vance.
Yeah, I would imagine that would be. But then again, I thought the same. I didn't think you would need much to beat Trump. But honestly, the fact that Trump won this election is it's more surprising to me than 2016 when it really is. Like as much disarray as the Republican Party was in, the fact that all of their money that was going into the party was just going to pay Trump's legal bills. The fact that, like you said, they had no ground game, they had no traditional metric of success at all. Donald Trump was the singular focus of the entire campaign. And the reason I said that it could work for Trump, but it doesn't work for everybody, is because like the people Trump backs, they don't tend to do very well. So you would need someone who
that's the thing. He's a strength of schedule merchant. Like
Joe Biden, exactly. Yeah.
If Joe Biden had announced 2 years ago that he wasn't running again, and I said this back then, like whoever the candidate was, it doesn't fucking matter, would have wiped the floor with Donald Trump. Joe Biden stayed in the race too long. He was a corpse. And Kamala, while Kamala wasn't the right pick, I don't think, if she had been able to create an identity for herself and a campaign for herself that was distanced from Joe Biden, she could have won. But
maybe
it was too late. It was all too late. Even if she had done it perfectly, even if she had done what we said, not campaign with the Cheneys, I don't think that she would have significantly improved her chances because by then it was too late.
It's a huge maybe with Harris because if this time last year we were talking like Kamala Harris, like, yeah, I don't want her anywhere near running for the election. Like so the thing is that Harris was already attorney general. She was a well-known senator, a fairly well-known senator, vice president for 4 years, and then launched the campaign. And it started well. She hid from people for a month. Do you guys remember that? She didn't talk to anyone for a fucking month. And that month, that was her best month. Honestly, when you think about it, that was easily her best month. Once she started talking to people, the numbers slowly started dipping. And we thought, okay, well, maybe that's just the plateau that you expect. But now that I think about it more, because I've been thinking about this ever since this happened, that yeah, I forgot. Like 2 or 3 years ago, I made this video talking about how bad of a politician Kamala Harris is. And then early this year, I said, okay, she's doing a lot better. I was like, oh, no, she's a bad politician. It's true. Like now, once again, I think she did as good a job on, about 80% as good as you could have possibly done.
Relative
she was
to
given,
expectations.
yeah, she was given a terrible situation, like almost a no-win. You got 3 months to build a presidential campaign. That's a tough task, and she did pretty well with that. But like, we got to remember, she tried to run president before, went fucking nowhere, just cratered. The only reason that she's nationally relevant is because Biden plucked her up and made her the VP. So I am not convinced that 2 years would have actually helped her. It might have, but I think it may have not a blitz, but a regular primary where they could have picked, I don't know, someone stronger could have worked, but they may have lost too because they would have been tied to the Democrats, and I don't know, it was just kind of a rough time. Oh God!
You know what? That might have been, honestly, like I said this back then, and we're over time, but I just got to say this. I definitely we can go back in videos, and I said this. I had this like conspiracy theory moment where I was like, it doesn't make any strategic sense why Joe Biden would be staying in this race unless their internal polling shows them if Joe Biden drops out of this race, Bernie Sanders is winning. And they made the calculated bet. Yeah, they're like rising populism would be unbeatable this time.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders would win, and we'd rather roll the dice with the corpse of Joe Biden against Trump than allow Bernie Sanders to walk away with the presidency. I'm actually more confident that wasn't a conspiracy theory. I was dead fucking on with
I like that theory a lot.
Because it's the only thing that makes sense. Nothing else makes sense with the decision to run Joe Biden. Besides, I'm afraid of Joe Biden. And honestly, who the fuck's afraid of Joe Biden? Wait, he's not going to remember what you said tomorrow. I actually, like, that's what I convinced myself. Oh, he's just so powerful. Like, no, he fucking wasn't. No one liked him. He just was the president. Anyone could have gone against him. It's just that they didn't want to hand the power to us for the 15,000.
I know, yes. If there's one thing the Democratic Party does well, is fucking over Bernie Sanders. They are fucking masters when it comes to that. That was fantastic. That was fantastic.
Yeah. Bernie just takes it. He just takes it. I mean,
what's he gonna do though? Time. What's he gonna do? I just like also last thing I'll say here is that when I was feeling down last week and I was doing my best to talk to people, get everyone out of the funk that I knew they were in. The thing that got me motivated the most was thinking that if Bernie Sanders could make it through the Reagan Revolution, I can make it through this, right? I mean, I saw this video or this picture of Bernie Sanders doing like a gay rights rally in 1983. And I saw he had this video where there was on the congressional floor, like in Congress, as Congressman at the time, he said, there's this other congressman there saying, and we got people like Congressman Sanders over here. He's trying to put homos in the military. This is on the congressional floor. And I was like, all right, if Bernie could fight through that, I can fight through this, right? I mean, he had it way worse than we did. Yeah, so I tried that way. Any closing thoughts, EK, before we close out this episode?
Yeah, I think just like work on messaging. Like my closing advice rather for people is just like work on messaging, work on figuring out how to say stuff. Like there's a lot of people that really feel a certain type of way right now as well. And maybe just realize they are going through some shit, going through a lot of hurt. Maybe should not be posting videos a lot right now for some people. I don't know. It's rough. We're all frustrated. Just like try not to hurt anybody that you are going to have to try to build an alliance with sometime within these next 4 years.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if you guys are thinking about if you're still feeling really emotional right now, put yourself like on should I call my ex when I'm drunk protocol or something. Just like put it up there, check it 24 hours later and see if it's good for you. So, all right. We don't usually do a bumper at the end of this one, but I guess I'll just say thanks for watching the show, folks. Sponsored by Arby's. Arby's? What was it? Applebee's. Sponsored by Applebee's. Eating good in the neighborhood. Catch you guys later. All right.